If you're trying to grow an online community, I have some important lessons to share. I'm an introvert, definitely not the loudest person in the room. People will tell me, Brian, how come you're so quiet? But that hasn't stopped me from building a community of over 10,000 entrepreneurs or hosting a podcast with 150 plus episodes interviewing some of the most successful creators on the planet. I'm going to share with you some of the most important lessons I've learned about building and growing an online community. And believe it or not, they didn't come from my experience in business or growing an online presence in any way. It started around a bonfire when I was in high school. So I want to share something with you that I've noticed, and I've seen a few other people notice as well, which is people don't seem to want to put in the effort nowadays to organize some kind of social gathering, let alone a whole community event. And attention is more scarce than ever. So this photo of a bonfire in my friend's backyard that I'm showing you was actually a masterclass in business psychology and community building. If you remember back when you were in high school or college, that feeling that it's a Friday night and you want to go out, hang out with your friends, or you're kind of wondering like, well, what's happening tonight? What can you go and do and make happen then? I think most people, probably the vast majority of people, would either maybe they had something already planned with a specific friend or a group, or they kind of just wait to see what happens. And if nothing happened, then you just stay in that night or that weekend. But for me, even as an introvert, I realized that looking back at it, I was definitely more proactive in this side of things. So I would be the one messaging, calling people, figuring out like who has a plan, who had an idea, who was looking for one. And I realized that in the different friend groups that I had, I ended up doing more of the organization and kind of figuring out how to bring everybody together. More specifically, my close friend and I at the time, he started hosting these bonfires in his backyard. And I would do a lot of the assistance of actually getting everybody to attend and show up there. And we'd have like 50 or so people that would attend these bonfires. And through that, I learned 5 lessons that will help you build any community. These lessons I applied in other ways. I applied them I was in a band at the time, and how to get people to come to our shows. First lesson is don't let fear stop you from taking action. More specifically, and how this related to communities and gatherings with friends at the time, don't be afraid of overbooking. I realized that one of the reasons that people would be worried of, well, I can't just suddenly start calling all these different friends and trying to coordinate something, because then am I gonna let somebody down? Or what if something works out one way, but it doesn't work out another way? And there's that fear that, well, I can't do this because what if I end up overbooking? And you don't want to be rude or something like that. You don't want to ruin friendships or something. But the truth is that you can't wait for everybody. And so if somebody says, oh, well, I'm not really sure, I'm going to get back to you. In the meantime, maybe you've got a group of all these other people who are ready to go and go do that thing. You don't have to feel committed to the person who hasn't gotten back to you yet. But there's a way to do this without creating some kind of hard feelings or negativity. And so when you're trying to make these connections and make something happen, you don't have to 100% commit to the thing. You can approach it as an exploration and trying to find out from the person, would they be interested in it? They don't necessarily have to confirm right away. And when you learn that you can do this without being rude or letting somebody down, you can apply that to growing an online community and learning that you can reach out to people. An easy way to start an online community is not to have to say, oh, I have to figure out how to get thousands of people to suddenly just sign up on their own. You can start it by finding the people who you want to be in the community, reach out to them manually, and see what they're looking for. Figure that out. Lesson number 2, be willing to adapt and change course. When kind of figuring out what I was going to do for the night in high school, there might have been specific ideas that I had in mind of what was going to happen, maybe who was going to be involved in that, but plans don't always work out. And also different people want different things. So the lesson here is rather than just imagining what you think everybody would want to do, you need to find out, because maybe it's not what you think it is. And if you can tailor your business, your community, what you're offering to the thing that your audience wants the most, then you could create something that not only will people be more interested in, but will also, they'll put more effort into trying to be a part of it. And I would say the way that you can implement this practically is realizing that you don't have to have the perfect concept of a community when you first started out. It's okay to realize that it may change and shift over time as you both discover what you want and you also discover what your audience wants. Lesson number 3, your superpower is making participation feel effortless. Other people could do exactly what I'm talking about here. It's not the most difficult thing, but that decision-making, that coordination, the effort that you need to put into all of this is work. And if you can provide somebody the value, getting that result without them having to put in the work, that's where you can bring people into this this easily. Lesson number 4 is once the community exists with some members, they stick with it not only because of the members that you've brought in, but because they know what they're going to be getting. Going back to the comparison of running the bonfires, once we had done this a couple times, now when I go and ask people to attend again in the future, it's not something that has to be explained. And I could simply say, hey, do you want to come to one of these bonfires tonight? And people know what they're getting. They know what that means. And the same applies to once you've gone through some of the process of running some kind of event or growing something with your community. People understand what they're going to be getting from it. And a misconception and potential mistake that I think people make when building online communities is they will say, well, I have to keep changing things. I need to keep changing what my community is doing to keep it fresh. And actually, I've seen where this can backfire on entrepreneurs. And you actually want it to be consistent because that is part of the value that you're providing. Lesson 5, value exists in curation, not just numbers. Your community isn't the most valuable because it has the most members, it's the most valuable because it has the right members. Again, going back to the example of the bonfire, inviting everybody from the entire school would not be as fun or exciting for everybody as if I invited the people that we wanted to really be around. It was really important that people could feel confident in going to this because they trust who else is going to be there, going to be the kind of people they want to be around. The same exact thing goes for online communities. One of the coolest things about the lessons that I'm sharing here is that it shows you don't need a community with thousands and thousands of members to make it a viable business. And you also likely don't need to put in as much effort as you might have thought in order to be growing or maintaining this community. Now, don't get me wrong, there is effort involved, but many people make the mistake of thinking that the community always has to change, like I said before, or they dramatically underestimate the community's value typically. So I run Heights platform. We've helped over 10,000 creators build online knowledge and community businesses. And a very common scenario is to see a creator who has this successful online course or coaching product, and they're thinking about offering or integrating some kind of community element to it. And they don't realize the value that they're actually adding or that they actually could be adding by including this community. They don't realize that they can charge a significantly higher price just by adding a community element to their program. And they think, oh, well, that seems too easy. It has to be work on my end, right? And they don't realize that they've already done the work through other things. By getting everybody into that program and selling them into it, you've already gathered this group of like-minded people. And now what you have to do is create that community, kind of get it started and nurture it. But it's less work for people with existing businesses than they tend to think. Here is a very important bonus lesson. I think if my friend who I had these bonfires with, I think if he was watching this right now, he would probably say, well, Brian, you make it sound like this was some really like hard thing to do or something. And it wasn't. And he's right, because I didn't bring all the people to these events myself. Other friends were helping me. I enlisted trusted friends who would be bringing the people that I would want to be around. And this is the same exact thing as you in business finding affiliates and partners for your business. You don't have to grow the community all on your own. And actually, it's so important to be able to have some other kind of trusted friends or affiliates or partners that can help bring people into your community. And this is also how I met some of the best people that I became best friends with throughout high school. Because if you were just going to go out there and do it on your own, you're limited to the people that you've either kind of gotten to know or have been able to discover. And so that's the same thing as you saying like, okay, well, I'm going to go out there, try to figure out who are these initial people that I've already met or in contact with, or even researching them on social media and try to cold message them and see if they want to be part of this. You're still limited to whatever you discover. But if you get somebody into the community and you can tell them, hey, do you know anybody who you think would be a good fit for this? That is a much easier way to grow. And when that member of your community is recommending somebody else to the community, that existing member is often one of the best candidates to be able to bring somebody in because they know somebody else who's like them. Building a community is a skill that you can master whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. And especially in this world of AI, community is more important and more valuable than ever. And all of this is exactly why I built Heights Platform. It's where I host my own community of over 10,000 creators, and we designed it specifically to do the heavy lifting for you. So if you're ready to start your own online community or your own digital bonfire, you can get started, and your first 30 days with Heights Platform are completely free. There's no credit card required. Just click the link in the description to check it out. And let me know in the comments, what is the biggest challenge that you're facing with your community right now? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like this one, please remember to like and subscribe.